Once upon a time, the infamous rover Reynardo plundered the floating isles. Then his mother called him to her deathbed. "Swear to me that you won't die on the gallows," she rasped. Reluctantly, he swore. And he whiled away his days at home with music, cards, and wine. But the Emperor had changed. He'd been good once, a shy, almost humble toad. He'd built universities. But then people started whispering about mass graves in the woods, midnight rituals, victims screaming. The Imperial Ravens would round up entire villages, and no one ever returned. The Ravens had come to Ubar scouting for ancient books said to be of great power. But the librarians had hidden the books, so they'd burnt the librarians. The citizens, outraged, had driven them off. The Ravens had come back with dropships. The kid had fled with one of those books. He was brave and dumb and wanted to join the rebellion. And Reynardo had promised his mother he'd protect him. The kid was looking down, watching his city burn. "Sorry, kid," Reynardo told the kid. "Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone." "My mother died for this book!" "I promised her I'd protect you." "Oh, damn it." The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Reynardo had to run after him.
Ну так, разбираемся. Правая мышка бежать. Да, к этому еще привыкать надо будет.
The two ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner, which probably was what was in their tiny brains. "Hey," Reynardo said. They cocked their heads at him. "Pick on someone as ugly as you." Wait, that didn't come out right. "For the Emperor!" The ravens cawed and rushed at him.
каком смысле? Что это за стрелочка? Мышкой навести надо тоже, что ли? Все понятно. Тут секретиков никаких нет.
A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed him. The kid.
Так. Нажать, чтобы схватить. Мышкой прицелиться и отпустить. Раз нажал. Пока вроде понятно.
The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate.
Как я там
Who
оказался?
let you through? Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels. Or I'm gonna steal your ship. I'm not taking that damn book anywhere. And neither are you. Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero sword. And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid. He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Renato going to get a hero sword? I could forge a hero sword here, but I'm going to need ore.
Так, изготовление меча. От имени изготовления меча здесь можно изготовить и улучшить мощные волшебные мечи. Эти необходимые материалы из сундуков, разбросанных по Борею. Текущий уровень силы выбранного меча. Особая сила выбранного меча на следующем уровне. Ресурсы, необходимые для... У вас недостаточно ресурсов. И где тут следующая сила? Ага. Есть. Скорость передвижения атак. Заморозить противника. Поджечь противника. Ну, руда здесь, походу, в этом сундучке. Стоп.
I hope nobody minds if I use this stuff.
Субстанция ветра. Окей. Так. 12 субстанций надо. Можем только этот
A
изготовить.
hero sword. QED.
Следующий уровень также позволяет лечить субстанции ветра нужно. Окей. На цвет это что? Не показывает. Погнали, теперь дверь откроется.
This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook and she'd laughed at Renado's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was. Just the kid. He came up to a ledge. It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter, giggling at him. How'd you get across? He asked the kid. Where'd you find a hook? I hopped, said the kid. Wise-ass kid. Hey, look out behind you! Cute, said Renato. Ah, ravens.
Ну что?
time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated at that altar there, he'd remember his old skills.
Ага, еще и умения есть. При каждом повышении уровня вы получаете 1 очко умений. Получить новое полезное умение или улучшить имеющиеся, тратя очки умений на утрях, сбросанных по всему барьеру. Хорошо, 4 уровня умений. 1 очко умений могу купить и выстрел крюком. Клавиша Аль для применения. Тут что у нас? Рывок. Безупречный удар. Комбо. И рефлекс. Угу. Так наносит урон. Энергия меча есть даже. И бегать максимально. Еще выносливость есть. Ладно, нам нужен крюк.
Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably
remember. Еще другого тянуть можно. Окей. Прыгаем, прыгаем.
And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kestra run in 12 furlongs. Oh, so the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush. Stop! He shouted. I'm not giving you the book! Shouted the kid, and took off. No! Peter! But the kid ran for it. And a goggler nailed him with its eye beam.
Это не разбивается. Притянуть врага. А? Вот слабо. Понимаю, нам просто надо бежать по стене.
Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes, and a kid-sized pile of ashes. Damn it. Why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but alive. Oh, damn it. Renato picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway.
Ага. Вот такие есть спрятанный предмет. Этим нельзя цепляться. Только хилялки, больше ничего не падает. Да сколько надо было здоровья потерять?
What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him. Where are you running, rebel? Cawed the Raven captain over the loudhailer. Renato could see them cranking up their catapults. Just going out for milk? Renato yelled back. Where can you run? laughed the raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job.
Take us to the rebel base, and we'll spare your life!
It called. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven, a sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time, unless Reynardo could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Reynardo had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino had sent Reynardo a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Reynardo could only rescue him. Reynardo dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, the Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lapino or the Sky Ripper?
Типа один из двух вариантов. Давайте другу поможем.
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the mad rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse.
Главное, крылатого коня.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? Reynardo's blood was up. He just needed to smash something.
Это меню распределенца. Здесь можно вооружиться мощным самоцветом, который усилит вашу атаку и защиту. Ваши перчатки есть 3 ячейки для самоцвета. Выберите одну из них, чтобы посмотреть ваш самоцвет. Каждого самоцвета есть 3 уровня, и его действие усилится с каждым уровнем. Да офигеть, тут прям продвинутая игруха. Выбор самоцвета, который у вас уже есть, автоматически повышает его уровень. Самоцветы можно найти в сундуках, разбросанных по всему игре, если вам повезет. Ну да, у нас ничего нет. Тут у нас тоже ничего нет. Так, вот и сундук.
This chest was really awesome. See what I did there?
Если бы там 30 было. Это лифт. Посмотрели на всех ворон.
People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Raven's caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice.
Так, это что? Еще один меч.
Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough.
Так, это что? Алтарь для очков. Ну, сейчас сундучок. Так, у нас 12 руды. И куда теперь, да? Что? Туда назад нельзя вернуться?
Shall we just agree to disagree? Said Renato. No? Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their
Назад
prisoners.
нельзя вернуться.
Even top spies like Lupino. Where had the mad rabbit got to?
Я хотел его прокачать. Ясно, здесь только здоровье может выпасть. Нет смысла их разбивать, если ты не потерял ХП. Так, вон сундук.
This chest contained blank passports from 15 countries. And something useful.
Алтарь для способностей. Только это можем рывок. Контрол.
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot. Like how to freeze time when attacking.
Ага, это вот выносливость снизу.
The more he'd probably remember.
Альт. Контрол. Два рывка можно за раз сделать. Неудобное управление. Поменять нельзя.
Come over here.
Изи левела качаем.
Renato felt a chill run down his back. Or possibly a flea.
Неплохо. Ага, теперь выбираю, что делать. Скорость передвижения. Бой. Даже не знаю, может бегом быстрее сделать. Это все прикольно. Ну такое. Вернее, все надо. И, походу, и так все прокачаем. Ладно, пускай будет комбо.
He welcomed them back like it was at a reunion.
Сундучок-то. У нас только одно очко было, да? Да. Таки надо быстрее бегом. Возобновить. Быстрый бег взять. Вот и кролик.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's
Отличный
greatest
план.
general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter. That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Опять выбор. Опять это супер артефакт. Так понимаю, здесь типа 2 раза надо проходить, если ты хочешь узнать историю. Давайте по этой линии пойдем. Мы уже начали с друзей.
Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato's best friend in Swordfu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. They'd been close. She'd told him things no one else knew, but she'd never told him who she really was. She knows all the Emperor's plans, chuckled the master spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right, said Lapino. Taking her would change the game, all right. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Любовь Ренену. Так, что это? Оп. А там не посмотрел. Обратно придется подниматься. Можно обратно подняться? Алло. Черт. Ты чё сюда не бежишь? Кролики.
Hero wall. Hero sword. Ice wall. Ice.
Эти роботы. Изи робот. Так, еще 9 руды до крафта следующего меча. 5 робот. Не.
Boy, the looks could kill.
Ворота открыли. Дальше робота убивать. А, тут еще и на время открывать. Блин, хпшки надо восстанавливать. А вот и она или кто?
So, what's this plan of yours?
Это он.
Use me as bait,
Жбан.
said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renardo hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renardo. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino.
Да мне его план не очень понравился.
If I craft a sword now,
Так,
it's gonna be
самоцвет у
really
нас
short.
есть. Самоцвета нет. Там нет. Меч мы еще не можем скрафтить. К сожалению. Равичка восстановить. Очко умений у нас тоже еще нет.
Hey, wanna hook up?
Алло, я же нажал. Блин, сбили мне комбо. А, она не засчитывает. Офигеть. Черт, если сбивают, то комбо полностью исчезает. Но если ты набрал, ничего не действует. Тупо. Мы сейчас стоило
Renato
получим.
slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She became smoke. And he noticed he had a blade to his throat. Stay a while, purred a familiar voice. Did you really think you could capture me? Zenobia said as her ship lifted off. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? And he told her why. His Imperial Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him immortal. But to seal the bargain, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. You're lying. She was furious. You can't prove that. I can. And so they set sail for the Nexus. The scientists at the observatory have resurrected one of his victims. Well, he's not exactly alive, but it can talk, and it can't lie. You took a big risk. You know, I could just cast a spell to make you tell me where the rebel base is. And you wouldn't consider that cheating? She frowned. Ugh, fine. Let's go get your witness.
Могли бы уже женский голос на нее поставить.
The rebellion had started
Ну,
after
инди,
atrocities
хорошо
the
поделать.
Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them. Who needed bridges anyway?
Кристаллы. Прикольная локация. Так, ура, левел ап. Хорошо. Сундучок. всей руды не хватает.
Renato felt like he was ready to learn new things.
Так, давайте быстрее
Didn't have to go to
бегать.
school for that.
О, другое дело. Хорошо. Комбо сделали и не сбили. Ага, что и на скорость надо? Ага, это порталы.
She caught up with him. He seemed troubled. All right, out with it, he said. He sent his ravens to search for an ancient crystal. Something called the Iblis stone. Iblis? Isn't he one of the lost gods? He shivered. A stone dedicated to one of the lost gods. Well, that could give great power. But what would the god demand in
Жертва.
return?
Ты же уже сказал ей это. Так, и чё нам? Туда или сюда? Менять. Давайте туда. А, тут сундук. Окей.
I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Renato.
Кристаллы эти... Кстати, может, кстати, эти кристаллы для крафта перчатки нужны. Да, нельзя. Не, здесь здоровье. Ясно. Диско.
Have you ever felt you were just going round in circles? Bernardo felt like that.
Мы уже здесь вроде бегали.
Bernardo had been searching for a way to save the rebellion. Lapina wanted to capture and interrogate Zenobia. But if he could show her proof of her father's madness, maybe she would join the rebellion. A crafting bench. Bernardo wondered what he could make with it.
Позволяет лечить себя. Давайте зажать Shift для активации магических мечей. При активации расходует энергию. Колесиком меняем мечи. Я теперь типа себя лечить могу, да? Да блин, когда эти мне один кристаллик дадут. Шо? Энергия не восстанавливается? А, восстанавливается. Очень медленно.
This would be the perfect place for a tic-tac-toe board.
Так. Нет. Я не понял, что этот меч делает? А, все-таки хиляет. Окей.
Here, fishy.
stayed back and lobbed pain and death from a distance. Cowards.
Так, менять сторону заклинания, когда его взрыв несет урон всем, кто находится в радиусе.
That done beautifully. Barred when you needed one.
Не забывать, что надо еще правой кнопкой мыши.
Good to practice your moves, thought Renato. Keeps you limber.
Что за глаз?
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had taken care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared around, shocked. The scientists had been neutral. They had no part in the rebellion. Take me to your council, she said, shaken. I have things to tell them. It was what Renato had gambled on. The Zenobia would turn against her father once she knew his madness. But the rebel base was secret. Could he really risk taking the Emperor's daughter there?
На базу или в горы? Давайте.
Renato reached Lapino by Far Speaker Toad, the one creature the ravens had left alive at the observatory.
I'll meet up with you at the base.
Lapino said through the toad. Good thinking. Renato gave him the coordinates. There's a shuttle here I can borrow. Renato found Zenobia in the chart room. I've been having awful dreams, she said. Dead kittens and worse. I thought they were only dreams, you know. Why would anyone want the lost gods back? In those days, the favorite of a god could become immortal. She held herself and shivered. He wants to become an eater of souls. Well, I'm not afraid of dying. Just dying of boredom. Renato said, but she didn't laugh. Silence fell as they flew towards the ruins of the city of Ubar, where the rebellion leadership was hiding. If Zenobia couldn't help them fight off her father, no one could. As they touched the ground, he could smell the ravens and hear their hungry caws in the distance. They're probably looking for me, she said. You go on ahead. She had that fiery look in her eyes that he'd always loved. It was a bit odd, though. How easy she'd been to convince. It was what he'd gambled on, but he'd expected more of an argument. She'd always loved to argue.
Что-то тут
She
не
considered
так.
it the fastest way to the truth. Maybe she'd long suspected the truth. Sometimes all it took was taking the bandages from your eyes. That must be it, he told himself. Once, he'd found a Superman issue #1 in mint condition in a jar he'd broken. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series.
Так, что еще плюс к скорости. Давайте еще быстрее бегать. Мы уже это будем. А теперь что, энергия находится? Куда нам? Туда или сюда? А тут вроде сундук.
There was an engraving. Maximum capacity, 130 people.
Сейчас, походу, будем биться. Так, там сундук. И там сундук. Ах ты ж гад. Ну, да что ты? Черт.
They caught their breath under a ruined arch. It's beautiful, she said. This was the library of Ubar, he said. Your father's ravens thought they had an ancient book. She nodded. Was she crying? This was exactly what I wanted, Renata thought. To turn her to our cause. So, why do I feel something is terribly wrong? Because nothing ever goes this smoothly, is why.
Так, почти насобирали еще один. Да, мы не можем. Роботы.
Renato hated gogglers, but it freaked him out to cut them.
Всё. Так, я помню, что этот рычаг временно открывает. Ничего нет, да? Это светилось.
Huh? A lever? That was new. Most people still use doorknobs.
Вороны, я иду. Знаешь, что надо ждать. Он медленно бьет. Надо быстрые атаки. Ляемся. Подземный
council
ход.
toads swarmed around Zenobia, shocked she was there, shocked she had changed sides. Then
Жаба
the
совет.
walls exploded. He heard toads croaking, "Oh, the ravens!" Blackbirds were pouring through holes everywhere.
It's a trap!
Cried the council speaker. In the confusion, he saw flashes of magic. Then Zenobia being hustled off by Imperial troops. So, she had betrayed him after all. Renato ran for his ship. The Farfarer flew into the clouds, barely losing the Imperial ravens pursuing him. The rebellion was lost, and he had lost it. There was nothing to do but find Zenobia and make her pay for her treachery. His heart ached. He still loved her. But he had trusted her, and he had been a fool. She would be back at the fleet, gloating with her mad, bloodthirsty father. For all Renato knew, she was helping him bring back the old lost gods back from their exile.
Предали все-таки нас.
Renato landed in the middle of the Imperial fleet. The rebels were losing badly. Without leadership, it was a slaughter. Renato felt strangely free, trying not to think about how he had lost the war, trying not to think about how he had loved Zenobia, blinded himself to her treachery. That's what it meant to be a hero. To keep on fighting after the most bitter of betrayals. To never know if you could trust anyone. Cats. What a waste of fur.
Цветов так и нет, а новый меч, походу, есть. А, нет, тут дофига надо. Понятно. Пока ничего нет, к сожалению. Ну, ворон нет. Странно подозрительно.
He wasn't that good. Yet.
Урон повысить нельзя. А, порог комбо надо. Или это оно активируется, когда порог комбо сру. Ясно. Оно так работает. А, еще есть противники со щитом.
What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods?
Ай, ты налево. Я даже умереть смог. Офигеть. Вау. На Ctrl нажать. Неудобное управление здесь. Иди сюда. Куда ты отлетаешь? Топе. Там было еще что-то. Сундук. Да, я не думал, что я сольюсь в эту игре хоть раз. Пишу.
Good thing
Надо
Renato
было
didn't have
разбить.
vertigo.
Там, возможно... Да я.
It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects.
Она из своих бьет. Да ёп. Я понял, как тут драться. Надо наводить мышкой. Куда ты хочешь. Он сам прыгает к ним. Ясно, бегать за ними не надо.
What had happened to Lupino?
Мы сейчас
The
сдохнем.
mad rabbit fled to safety?
О,
Or was he
боже, тут
forlornly
еще и
carrying on
пушки.
the few rebels Renato could see here or there? Ugh, it didn't matter anymore. All there was slash and spin, parry and lunge, over and over as he fought his way across the fleet. All there was finding the girl he'd once loved, who had used his love against him and putting as big a hole in her heart as she'd left in his.
Так, сейчас надо вцепиться за кораблик. Останавливаем жизни. Будет драка. Ах ты ж твоя наляв. Тяжко бои начали идти. Так, чтоб не умереть. Вернее, так, чтобы без ранений. Ух ты, ёпта. Летим где-то в воздухе. Загораются эти штуки, что они означают? Что-то будет? О. Что это? Он блокирует ваши хотите и бросите мимо другого пехотинца, его щит будет отброшен. Да ёп. Офигеть. You have died. бросил в него. Ох, это будет туго. Да я ж нажал. Налево. Срочно нужно умение. Черт. Да я же нажал. Ага, у него не восстанавливает игра. Да. Мало комбо ударов. Ладненько.
And suddenly Zenobia was there, advancing a Lapino. So the mad rabbit had survived. Save me, or I'm done for! Screamed Lapino. Zenobia turned, showing her teeth in a smile. You're alive! Renato ran towards the witch. Lapino's the one who betrayed you, she shouted. He warned my father. Renato sank his sword into the witch before she could fool him again. She stared at him, heartbroken. No! Lapino's the traitor! Then he felt a knife in his back. I'm afraid she's right, said the mad rabbit. Ain't I a stinker? Then the sun went out.
Я проиграл?
That was weird. He could have sworn he just died. Instead, he was on the Farfarer, sailing away from Ubar. And it was still burning. He'd fled burning Ubar years ago, hadn't he? And now he was back there. Had all those years fighting the Empire been nothing but a vision into the future? A useful vision if it was true. He'd learned something. Lapino was a traitor. Renato had suspected there was something wrong with the mad rabbit. But now he knew there was malice behind his goofiness.
И что это? А, это типа варианты. И не второй. Иный храм. Раз, два, три, четыре. 23 истории, походу, будут. Офигеть.
He'd made bad choices. But now, when the real battle came, he wouldn't make those choices. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The book's pages began to flip backwards, towards the beginning. And he realized that his adventure was just beginning. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Renato. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescue. Of course. Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Можно еще раз по этой дороге пройтись. Давайте создадим
Every
оборез.
child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the lost gods. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Renato could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it. As he set foot on the island, Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
Хорошая территория. Вдоль до финиш. А тут.
This is why heroes are called dashing, Renato thought. See? Dashing? Get it?
Так, нам не дали самоцветов никаких. Но их все равно не хватает.
What was really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship.
Куда это мы перенеслись? А, назад. Ясно. Что эти роботы тут делают?
Sagan, the people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the lost gods, thousands of thousands had died. But Renato had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
Так, обязательно вот это надо.
Cool. Wish I could do that.
Чем больше вкачаешь, чем меньше порог ком. Вот урон. Блин. А можно все прокачать? Я все хочу. Кроме рывка я не особо пользую, хотя там есть прикольные фишки. Хотя это будем качать. Контратаку тоже урон повысить надо качать. Так, там сундук я вижу. Надо добраться.
He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak.
Дай. Да.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Джон Сноу. Оу. Даже тут потроллились Игры Престолов. Так, там был сундук, я бегу. Теперь мы, походу, можем меч скрафтить. Что это за свиток? Иная история небореза окутана туманом. Самая достоверная версия гласит, что трансцендентный император воспользовался неборезом, чтобы изгнать Иблиса. После этого Таизер хоронил оружие и исчез. Сам ли он отправился в изгнание, чтобы избавить мир от последнего божества? Или же такова была цена, уплаченная за использование столь колоссальной силы? Не мог ли неборез иметь с Иблисом связь более глубокую, нежели оружие со своей жертвой? Мои ритуалы должны призвать камень Иблиса. Возможно, мне следует задуматься о том, что они также извлекут на поверхности неборез. Тогда мне следует его отыскать, не жалея средств. Оружие, способное изгнать божество, бесценный аргумент для древних. Когда бы те пожелали меня обхитрить, то было бы их силе, но по поведению божеств предсказуемый, я всегда буду опережать их на шаг. Тайный дневник императора из Ингрима III. Один. Вот для меча.
Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug.
А ты идиот.
Don't go away.
Чё не срабатывает? Да? Чёс. Бред. Всё, моя комбо сбили. Я ж прокачал, чтоб щит сбивал. Бред. Он тупо не работает. Нафиг я туда скилл брал, если он не работает.
Ah, a puzzle. Renato loved puzzles, except when he couldn't figure them out. On the other hand, if there was a puzzle, it was probably meant to keep people away from something good. See? With enough leverage, you could go anywhere.
Я не понял. А, он отсюда. Понял.
See? That wasn't so hard.
Неужели? Серьезно? Зачем тут эта штука? Ну, лучше бы крафт был. Меч создать новый.
There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Skyripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
Ну она ж типа не предательница же. Давайте к ней пойдем.
Renato asked himself why he changed course to confront Zenobia. He'd no idea. Sometimes he would just do things, and he could never figure out why he'd done them. Usually, they worked out. After all, he was a hero. The truth is, though, he wanted to see her, wasn't it? It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because know your enemy. But it would be great to see her. Even if they faced off across sword points, as they'd done so many times at school. The world was a less interesting place without her.
Эта штука за нами летает. Что ты не развиваешь?
Those sheaves were really very well made, weren't they?
Только когда он целится у меня, походу. Можно сбить щит. Или чё? У нас уже 100 руды. Ведь.
Renato wondered if his future self had commissioned these poles.
Это после 10 всегда будет работать или только после каждого?
Haven't you always wanted to do that?
Так, еще раз. При попадании крюка в противника со щитом щит отлетит прочь, он будет уязвим. Нифига он не отлетает постоянно. Уже проверено было. Туда не пройти. О, крафт. Неужели? Только один можем. Огненный и все. Атаки поджечь противника.
His burning sword from the south was terrific for barbecuing sausages and ravens.
Так, ну дверь это понятно, что мы откроем. Рычаг. Да, это едет. Опять же непонятно. Туда идти, туда идти.
Ooh, what's there?
Ага. Пятная комната. О, самоцвет. Ну, огненный меч делает. Что это делает? Ай, хотел разбить. Так, ну теперь самоцвет. Доставим. Замесить противного сейчас энергии меча.
Zenobia was leading the Imperial Ravens here. She loved to be in the vanguard, where the danger was, where she needed her wits. Renato pitied whoever she was fighting.
Это был там, где мы нас к совету шли, это тоже. Прыгнуть вниз. Окей. И вниз. Ты смотри.
Sharp? Check. Pointy? Check. Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword?
Чего ты не бьешь? Нет никаких секретов.
Renato wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. She'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lapino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core?
А как мне туда попасть?
His mother had never let him wave his sword around at home. He guessed he was still compensating for that.
Не можешь тянуть рычаг? Или нам тут надо умение проходить сквозь объекты, типа рывок улучшенный? Буду тут умение рывок улучшенный нужен. Значит. Одной руды не хватает.
Can I borrow that?
Ага, теперь сбил. Твою налево. Сегодня никого не сбил.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She vanished. And he suddenly noticed,
That makes no sense. It's a trap.
shouted the Emperor.
I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators.
If Renato came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father.
Давайте.
What are you doing? Asked Zenobia. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He asked her. She shook her head. He told her. His Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him an eater of souls, an immortal. But to seal his bargain with them, He needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. She was stunned. Furious. You're lying. Under a truce spell? It's a trick. You can't prove that. Take me to the observatory, and I will. What kind of proof could you possibly have? She said as they landed on the Nexus. Your father ritually sacrificed a village, and he left witnesses? The scientists resurrected one. Well, it's not really alive, but it can talk. A true witness. She frowned. The dead can't lie. Well, I bet they could. They just don't have any reason to. She nodded grimly. You go on ahead. I don't want the ravens to see me.
Ну да, иди вперед. Я ни при чем.
Renato, smash! That was always a rush.
Так, стоп. Назад мне никак не придумал. Прикольно. Там может быть был сундук. Вот ты не знаешь, куда идти по сюжету. Выберешь неправильный путь и пропустишь сундуки. Если вблизи просто жарит. Ну, довольно-таки тоже хорошая вещь.
She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father wanted to invoke the lost gods? Would he tell you? No. Would you help him? No. I'd burn his books. Why'd he adopt a stray cat? You don't ask a thing like that. No, not when there's no good answer, she said, her whiskers twitching. The scientist at the observatory had a true witness to one of the Emperor's blasphemous rituals. The dead could be made to speak for a short while. Interestingly, they could not be made to lie. After all, what do they have to lose or gain by lying?
Если он вокруг поджигает, просто и когда бьет, поджигает.
These platforms were great. Renato wanted one for his house. the Raven One took. Boy, some people are just liable to explode if you upset them.
Ого.
Thought, Renato?
Черт. Не взрывается даже если его бить. Черт. Говно. Сбило мне качку.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had burned the reanimated witness to cinders. Renato was stunned. There goes my proof. These were scientists, not rebels, Zenobia said, upset. Why would he do this? I don't know. Let's go to the fleet and ask him. Yes. I'll meet you on the mountains. There's something I have to get first. But could he afford to meet her in the mountains? He'd given the Empire the location of the secret rebel base. They would need rescuing.
Ладно, идемте по ее
Was he
сюжету.
going to meet up with her? Wasn't it more important to rescue the Rebel Council from the almost certain Imperial attack? Why was he in this war anyway? Was it really to fight the good fight, or did he just want to see her again? One of these days, Renato thought, I should really figure out my motives before I pounce. Nah. Was it true? Was he on this adventure just to see Zenobia again? The Imperial heir was not an easy cat to see. Well, she'd ignored all his Kwanzaa gifts. And on the other paw, trying to get a date by joining a war against your intended was, let's say, pretty optimistic. But on the back paw, thought Renato, yes, it sounded exactly like him. Good, I'm so glad we had this little chat, he told himself.
Так. Надо проходить это. Что там? Ну, что крафтить можем? 6. Вообще не скоро. Одну субстанцию льда надо найти. Здесь ее, конечно, возможно найти на этом острове. Нам сюда или туда? Скрафтить один меч. Свернемся обратно. Вдруг двери по дороге попадутся. Да ёп, почему оно так?
This sword from the frigid north was really useful for making popsicles and birdsicles.
Замедляет противников. И что сила делает? Блин, налево.
Renato
Идёшь?
checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
Да. Откуда вороны здесь?
Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it?
Может, это еще чудо. Так, ледяная дверь. Одна руда пропала? Шо? А еще портал к еще одному сундуку.
If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger.
А там же мечи можно улучшать до 2-го уровня. Я так понимаю. Почему ты не бежал, ты придурок, блин? Рывок, 2 рывка сделал. Он стоял на месте. Опять. Ть. Для этого нужно еще на правую кнопку нажимать. А походу нужно еще.
There were a lot of dead ravens along the side of the road. Someone had rampaged through here on a killing spree. What had Zenobia gone to get? He had a chilling feeling. He could recognize her blade work in the wounds of the dead birds. Why had she killed them? Surely her father's soldiers were no threat to her. Renado's paws were getting numb. Calaveras really didn't want company, did he?
Походу и она какая-то предательная. Да что это такое? Я что каждый раз выбираю не тот вариант. О, то тут еще и руда может валяться. Офигеть. А туда как попасть? Шил я походу. Мог бы могли бы в игре сделать автоматом, чтобы меч выбирался.
What's behind door number 2?
Вниз поднимались, теперь опять на низ. Ой, наверх поднимались, теперь опять вниз. Итак, по чтению. Рогазина, ты помнишь ту экспедицию, которую я направил глубины под островами? Она вернулась, точнее, вернулись 3 корабля из 8, посланных мною. Разумеется, я скорблю о потерях, но информацию, которую принесли выжившие, бесценна. То, что им удалось выяснить, неслыханно. Воздух становился все более плотным и бушующим, пока не превращается в душающую, переламывающую кость бури. Но острова тянутся на многие мили ниже поверхности, и их корни устремляются вниз, насколько хватает взора. Острова живые, и вот доказательства, которые я искал. Вот на воздух глубин поддерживает их на плаву. И в глубинах же они находят себе пропитание. Обладают ли они сознанием, создают ли наше существование, или же мы для них просто паразиты, которых они игнорируют или терпят. Я должен подготовить еще одну экспедицию, на этот раз я отправляюсь туда лично. Я должен увидеть этот чудесный мир бесконечного глубокого неба. Да, и зачем это тебе? Так, понимаю. Разбить нельзя. Надо тоже способность. Или эти сейчас. Да.
Was that your shield? Who were these guys? They seem to make everyone else harder to kill.
Блин. Бомба сбилась. Да, бои тяжелее становятся.
If only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend.
О, еще один сейчас самоцвет достанем. Yes. Такой, как у нас был.
Bernardo wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles. Да ударь ты нормально. Докачаем уже это. Что с тобой такое? He reached the summit, expecting no one. But there she was, steaming, pacing.
I'm gonna kill him, she said. I'm gonna kill all his ravens, and then him, and then his family, and all the eggs and tadpoles. And then I'm gonna burn down their pond.
Did you go and get the Iblis stone?
You see, all these ravens I killed. So much power.
Are you feeling normal? Because you seem a little bloodthirsty.
Yes, obviously it wants blood. Demons always want blood. You really want power from a demonic rock? You want the stone, don't you?
Not really.
Good. I'd rather not have to kill you.
He told her he loved her, that he wouldn't let the Iblis stone take her, even if he had to die for it. Well, he planned to tell her. Now didn't seem like the right time. She'd probably cool off in a bit. So he let her get in her ship and fly off. He rushed back to the Farfarer and followed her, keeping a healthy distance. Zenobia's ship was just visible through the clouds ahead. How could he reason with her? But he had to. The rebels were down for the count. No wonder. He'd betrayed the location of their base and then he'd abandoned them. And if she became Empress while she was in the grip of the Iblis stone, if she became Empress by murdering her father, she could still be a great Empress. But she could also be a nightmare Empress. She had to be stopped.
Отлично. Офигеть, что они напридумывали?
There were more dead ravens along his path, some of them wounded in the back. He knew she could have easily talked her way past them, or clouded the little tiny raven brains with a spell. She was going out of her way to kill everything in her path. This wasn't Zenobia, not as he knew her.
Ага, одинаковые ставить нельзя. Шо, меч огненный второго уровня.
More fire? Yes, please.
А, больше второго нет. Что на втором уровне он делает? Больше урона просто уносит. Вот. Куда мы еще пройти не можем, к сожалению.
He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again? Someone needs a bath.
Черт. Ну долбаный взрывной. Просто взял все комбо свой. Сломал мне. Говно, бля.
Smashing things was fun.
А в этих штуках и тоже камни могут. Короче, надо все было разбивать.
felt ready to take on new powers.
Надо замедление времени брать. Уж. Иначе мы не будем их побеждать теперь. Да? Сейчас меня сольют быстро.
This thing really needed a roof. So, his beloved was possessed by the spirit of a demon. That's what it meant to be a hero. To brave the darkness in your loved one's soul. To have faith there was still good in her. To help her out of that darkness, no matter what the cost. But what? What could he do? She'd kill him if he tried to take the Iblis stone from her.
Ну, я почти научился против них биться. Надо все-таки все скиллы по чуть-чуть прокачивать. Не все полезны. Сейчас меня опять будут сливать. Того. Отлично. Хорошо побрались.
At the end of the trail of raven corpses was Zenobia. Her father was frantically rigging a strange apparatus wrapped around a glowing core. "Don't do it!" he shouted. "You'll hate yourself in the morning. Stay back!" She screamed in a horrible voice he'd never heard before. It froze him in his tracks. The Emperor stared at him. "Run," he told the toad, "or hop." But he didn't manage to voice it, only think it. Zenobia stabbed her blade forward, and His Majesty fell dead. She began laughing hysterically. Or was she weeping? "Just walk away," she laughed at him. "I've no more use for you." There was something he needed to do, but he couldn't figure out what it was. So he did as he was told. As he walked away, he felt a chill in the world. The light in the sky seemed to dim. He didn't dare turn. He had a nagging feeling there was something he should have done just then. Something heroic. But he could not have taken the Iblis stone from her by force, and she would not have parted with it willingly. A cold wind blew from where she had been, but he still didn't dare turn. And then an awful laughter filled the air, and all the torches and all the ships went out, and he realized what he should have done. But by then, it was too late to do anything.
Renato stared at the book. He was still alive. Again. And still only flying away from burning Ubar.
Had he lived that adventure? Or only dreamt it? Had he really died? It felt so real, not like a dream at all. And he'd lost again. Oh, he hated that.
Тут что,
But
все
he
плохие
had made
концовки,
different
чё?
choices. And he'd lost in a different way. It was the book, wasn't it? Oracles showed you your destiny. But this was showing him different ways he could die miserably. Thanks a bunch, book, he thought. But these were destinies that he did not have to fulfill. But he'd learned another true thing. Zenobia still had feelings for him.
Ну, в этот раз хоть в спину не зарезали. Ладно, ребятки, на этом все. Хватит. Для первой серии. Завтра продолжим. Мне игра понравилась очень. Классно сделали. Молодцы. Разработчики хорошо поработали. Всем спасибо, кто смотрел. Подписывайтесь на канал. До скорой встречи. Пока-пока.